Alright, what's going on guys? It's Almond. Welcome back to another Wizard101 video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at some more spell teasers, and of course there's going to be some more spell teasers because we had two different people tease spells today. These spells that I'm going to be showing in the video are from Awesome the Sauce. If you haven't, definitely go check out his video. It will be in the description. He went over it and gave his opinions and thoughts about them as well, so definitely go show him some love. And I definitely want to give you guys my opinions on these spells, especially from like advanced combat and some PvE stuff. So I definitely want to talk about this because these spells are really nice. So yeah, if you do enjoy this type of content, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all type of stuff, and let's get into it, right? So some spells are getting banned in this update. We kind of already knew that it was going to happen, and of course some spells are going to be replacing those as well. So let's talk about one of the spells that's getting banned, and it's honestly so sad, and that is Supernova. Now of course, if you hate balance players in PvP and stuff like that, I completely get it. I get why you hate the spell, everything like that. But when it comes to advanced combat, there were a lot of instances where Supernova would break fights. Even recently in the past update, whenever we had boss rematches introduced for Arc 2, in test realm, I tested Supernova on TT, the boss rematch, right? And essentially broke the fight. Now, it was bound to happen. I knew, like we all knew, Supernova was eventually gonna get banned, but at least in the future now, you can't just use Supernova in advanced combat. And honestly, it was one of my favorite spells for just cheesing fights. So slowly but surely, the cheese is going away. It's sad to see, but it was eventually gonna happen, right? So yes, it is banned from advanced content. Is the spell gone? No. Like, you can still use this when you're casually just questing or just like farming bosses that aren't with like stat caps and stuff. So like, you can go free roam on that. So it's not like it's completely over. Who knows, whenever certain bosses come out and they're not like challenge mode or anything that's advanced, you can still use Supernova. It's not the end of the world. It just affects like boss rematches and like certain raid strats or some other stuff, right? So Supernova was just kind of good for that part. But yeah, for PvP players, rise up. You know, the balance spell got nerfed, and some balance players are going to be kind of upset, of course. But what is going to be replacing that for advanced content, right? So they're going to be introducing a new spell. It's going to be Courageous Charge. Now, does this mean Supernova is going to be completely off the chopping block? No, it's still going to exist in the game. Still going to be able to get it, I would assume. But another spell is going to be used to replace that in advanced content, and that is going to be Courageous Charge. Now what Courageous Charge does, it's a very unique card. It hits the enemy with some bounce damage for 2 pips. Now what it also does is it echoes the aura. Now it doesn't specify a specific aura, it just says echo. The cool thing is if that person that you are fighting in advanced content or PvP, all that type of stuff, or PvE, and they have an aura, it could be positive, negative, whatever, right? Because with the previous video we did talk about that there's going to be some negative auras introduced. Now this means you can echo. So if they have an aura, you give yourself an aura too, and that aura that you give yourself is a plus 20% outgoing on Pierce. That is really good, and I'm gonna be really intrigued on how to see players use the spell in PvP, and I'm going to be really intrigued to see how people use this in advanced content. Advanced content, like the first thing that I can think of is if there's some sort of shield on the boss and you have to get rid of it, and you know you don't have any buffs on you yet, the round just started, you can instantly give yourself an aura and break the shield, and you know, you're kind of just ready to set up your buffs and stuff. So it's still a very good card. Very intriguing to see how people are going to be using it just as a whole. So I would assume this is available via trainer. I doubt that they would toss us into key boss or something like that, but hey, anything goes, right? We don't know. There's no spellman paths. Sauce didn't show any spellman paths, so I would assume that this is just straight up trainable. And overall, it's still a good spell, right? It's 2 pips, and for the PvP ban, it's going to be 75 and up. So does that mean you can use that in level 50 rematches? No. So keep that in mind. Now, the next spell that got banned from balance, another sad day, it's Mana Burn. Mana Burn has been infamous for so long. Everyone has ups and downs with Mana Burn. Same thing as Supernova, right? I know PvP players have their own standpoint, PvE players have their own standpoint on Mana Burn, but it's sad to see mana burn is going to be completely gone from advanced content, right? Its spells still exist, everything like that. Don't worry about that, but it just means it's banned now. I did use mana burn quite a lot in advanced content just because it would just make fights a lot more easier, more bearable, so bosses don't ramp up their cheats. I most notably used it in crash challenge mode, just because it made it way more easier. There was even strats for the Azteca raid where we would use mana burn too, because Outlock is such a bad fight. You just get nuked so hard in that fight, so mana burn will just kind of just slow down that process. But we'll have to see what people use instead of mana burn now. And PvP players, yes, balance players are just going to go up and down right now. I feel like a lot of people are seeing all these nerfs and they're like, okay, balance is just in the gutter. We still have some new spells to introduce, we still have some new mechanics, so balance can still be on the rise again. But yeah, mana burn's gone. I do want to talk about that. And yeah, cheese is slowly disappearing from the game for advanced content. It still exists for regular PvE, so I'm not too gutted to a certain extent. But what is going to be replacing that? We do have a new spell called Spinning Scythe. Now, Spinning Scythe, I know it seems kind of underwhelming because I think people realize that, like, oh, what is it's just a 5 pip spell that does 470 damage, no tears, none of that. Now, if this is trainable, right, and I think this is pretty good for PvE players, just or people that are just casually questing, right? Because the way how I think of it is, when I was like looking through bounce spells and what's trainable right now, not like when you go farm spells like from gold key bosses and doing etc things, is that balance doesn't really have like a good 5 pip hit. And to be fair, I don't even think they have a good 5 pip hit at all. Now, this is excluding school pips. I know people can be like, oh, samurai exists. And I'm excluding all that. Like, if you're a person that's just starting the game and stuff like that, and like, you know, you don't know about all these excess spells that you can get, Spinning Scythe will be that like good spell that people can use while questing, right? It's a single hit. Now, once you get into the introduction of Arc Mastery and everything like that, of course, you're just gonna switch to Samurai, right? It's 3 pips and a school pip. Now, of course, if you're using your school pips for other things, it might be hard to manage. But if you're just using them for like questing and stuff like that, once you get Samurai, that's just an obvious no-brainer to swap out and just use Samurai. It's 3 pips and a school pip. So yeah, it's just a no-brainer to use Samurai over that. So it'll be interesting for that part. But I feel like later down the line, it's kind of dependent on that. So we'll have to see what Spinning Scythe does, but that's the only good thing I can think of when I see this spell, just for that purpose of casual players. And if I had to take a guess, just from the arm, it looks like one of the mobs that you fight in Avalon. You can see even by the previous spell, Courageous Charge, you can see in the image, it resembles a boss, and I kind of caught it up right away. I think the Courageous Charge looks like the Harley Quinn Knight boss, and the Spinning Scythe looks like the Callista boss. I think that's how you pronounce it. But it's just that mob, and I'll obviously toss images of what it resembles. So we'll have to see what the animations look like in game too. I'm kind of curious for that. But yeah, those are the 2 spells that are introduced. Now we move on to the 3rd spell that's going to be introduced, and alongside of that, that means one other spell is getting banned, and the spell that's getting banned is Shift. Now, I don't think not many people realize Shift was getting banned. I think it was just like, is it getting banned? Yes, no, yes, no. Mana Burn Supernova was kind of more like obvious it was going to happen. Shift, I didn't really expect it. I was surprised it was still people use it. But now Shift is completely banned. You can't use it in advanced content. Now, for me, as a person that doesn't do PvP as much and just focuses on like the PvE aspect of the game, I'll be honest, I haven't used Shift. I haven't used Shift in like any sort of advanced content like that's like notable, like listed in any strat that I've done. So I'm not too upset about Shift, but I can understand for people who play Myth in PvP are kind of gutted about this change, but it kind of just makes sense it was going to happen. I feel like if Shift is getting changed, maybe other spells around this aspect will get changed as well. But yeah, it is banned. You can still use it in casual play, so don't worry about that if you like to use it while you're questing and stuff like that, or just like on the Nightmare Dungeon or something like that. Like, you can still use this stuff. But what is going to be replacing that for advanced content? Now, this is nice. This is really nice. The spell that is going to get introduced is Purge. This was much needed. This was very much needed. I am super glad this exists. I was so happy when I saw this spell. Basically what it does is it's 2 pips. It's a myth spell, and it removes 3 negative charms. That could be like infections, weaknesses, just anything around that, like negative charm, right? So this is very good. You can cast it on allies too, so I can see this being very much viable in advanced content, just because, like, you know, if you want to use like ramps and stuff like that, that's like a completely separate topic. But if you're a myth already and you're just using like stone classes, I feel like you're not really gonna worry about purge because stone. But if there's a boss that has a cheat for a dot or something like that, then I can see why you would want to cleanse those charms or those negative charms first and then hit with stone. So, but even then you would just use damage bat stone if that was the case. But purge is very good. It's not just only for advanced content. You can use this in casual play too. There's a lot of fights where just having this is so much better. It's so much better. I would honestly, at this point, I would love to see purge on some amulets if possible, or even just a jewel. It's so nice. I'm very happy that they did this, but we'll have to see about that. But like I said, this is a big change. This one, I think out of all of them, I'm looking forward to the most, and aesthetically it looks cool card wise. That's a very nice card art. So that's my take on purge. A lot of people are going to be using it in advanced content, in general, even just casual play. I can see a lot of people using this for like team farming, or like if you can't do Skull Incendiary or it's not viable, people are going to like go towards other strategies or like one big hit. And purge would be like that saving grace where it's like, oh, if you have negative charms, you have multiple of them, I'll cleanse them off of you with purge. Very nice. I appreciate this spell a lot. Now that we looked at all the new spells and the bans, there's some other 2 spells that are going to be getting banned. Sauce did say in his video that he was told that Skeletal Dragon is getting its top path banned. Now, honestly, be honest, this doesn't affect me as an advanced combat player or like a PvE player, because I have no issues with it. I honestly, there hasn't been a time where I'm like, okay, our hitter needs to carry top path Skeletal Dragon. Has yet to happen. So honestly, I don't mind this change. It doesn't affect me. It might affect someone that does PvP, but honestly, I don't see many people use top path Skeletal Dragon at all anyways. I see mainly people use bottom path Skeletal Dragon because of the clear aspect. And plus, if you did use Skeletal Dragon at all in any sort of PvP match, it would just get hit with Gearhead, or people would like push it over with shift or just something, right? So I'm not too gutted about top path being banned at all, right? So there's that ban that's happening. And then lastly, the last spell that's going to be getting banned that Sauce posted in his video was that Leviathan top path that's getting banned, of course, with this regular base tier as well. Now, I can understand this getting banned, but do I have a real issue with it? Not really. The real only issue I have with these spells that I can think of, like I said, I don't really use these in advanced combat, but the only time I can see this being a real issue is if you are someone that only has tier 1 of these spells, like Leviathan and Skeletal Dragon, and you want to use these in the Mithraya challenge mode, you can't because of its banned. So that would cause players, if they want to be a storm hitter or a death hitter in that fight, you have to have at least tier 2 and above. But honestly, if you're doing Mithraya challenge mode at that point, you should have at least tier 2, because the casual player wouldn't be using tier 1 Leviathan, right? Of course, standard mode Mithraya, you're fine, you can carry this, you have no issues. But for the people who are doing it on challenge mode, now be wary that you have to have at least tier 2 and above to be able to carry it in your deck, and for it to not be like discarded because it doesn't have a ban symbol on the bottom path. So that's the only thing I have to keep notable of, that are like I'm only questioning about. But the rest, I like beyond that, like beyond Mithraya, I really don't have an issue with these spells being banned. So that's it for the teaser portion. Definitely pretty interesting spells. I'm looking forward to Purge the most, just because the fact is you can just cast that on anybody and it's just so nice. So I'm glad that spell finally exists. But it is going to be a sad day for PvP players and PvE people that use Mana Burn and Supernova in advanced content, whether it be PvP or just raids or boss rematches or challenge mode. Sad day to see Mana Burn gone and Supernova gone, especially Supernova for me personally. But it happens. It honestly happens. We'll have to see this new era of Wiz. I mean, there's plenty of pros with this update, but obviously there's going to be some things that I'm going to be like, oh man, I really wish that didn't happen, but I'm very understanding of why it's happening. So sad day for Supernova, sad day for Mana Burn, but that's it for the video, guys. Definitely, like I said, check out the video down below and watch his Sauce's video on this, because like I said, it's his teasers and he was able to tease them out for us today. And if you guys definitely want to see his opinion, definitely go watch his video and his take on these spells. But that is it from me, and be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all type of stuff. Definitely join the Discord down below. I appreciate more and more people to join the Discord. I definitely will be posting more things in there and trying to keep it more active in that sort of sense. But that is it, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.